night stories, where nightmares become to life and shadows appear in the corners.
It was the kind of house that screamed college legend from the curb, a sprawling Victorian on the edge of campus, with peeling white paint and a wraparound porch that had seen more keg stands than sunrises. Everyone called it the Hive because parties there buzzed like a swarm, drawing in undergrads from every dorm and frat. The owners? No one knew. Rumors swirled about absentee landlords or some trust fund kid who let it run wild. But the rule was ironclad: stay out of the basement. The door at the end of the kitchen hall was always locked, marked with a faded private sign that no one dared test. Until I did. My name's Alex, and that night was my third time at the Hive. Midterms had just ended, and the place was packed wall to wall with bodies grinding to bass-heavy EDM. Red Solo cups littered every surface, and the air reeked of cheap beer, weed, and that metallic tang of sweat. I'd pre-gamed hard, too hard, with my roommate Jake, chasing shots of Fireball with IPAs until the world tilted like a funhouse mirror. Jake vanished into the crowd early, probably hooking up with that sorority girl he'd been eyeing. Me? I was solo, weaving through the throng, laughing at nothing, spilling drinks on strangers who didn't care. Around 1 a.m., my bladder screamed for mercy. The upstairs bathroom had a line snaking down the stairs, so I stumbled toward the kitchen, figuring there might be a half bath or something. The hall was dim, lit by a single flickering bulb, and the music dulled to a distant throb. That's when I saw it. The basement door, slightly ajar. Maybe someone had picked the lock for a smoke spot or a hookup. In my haze, it seemed like an invitation. I pushed it open, the hinges creaking like a bad horror flick, and flipped the switch at the top of the stairs. A bare bulb buzzed to life, casting long shadows down wooden steps that looked older than the house itself. The air down there was cooler, musty, like wet earth and old paper. I descended carefully, gripping the railing to steady my spins. At the bottom, the basement opened into a surprisingly large room. Unfinished concrete floors, exposed beams, and walls that stretched into dim corners. No furniture, just stacks of cardboard boxes in one corner and photos. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands, plastered across every inch of wall space like some obsessive collage. I blinked, rubbing my eyes, thinking the alcohol was playing tricks. But no, they were real. Polaroids, prints, even some grainy phone shots, all taped or pinned haphazardly. Faces stared back, laughing, drunk, mid-dance, every guest who'd ever partied upstairs. I recognized a few. That guy from my psych class with the man bun, captured mid-beer pong throw, a girl from the volleyball team, her arms around friends in a group selfie. Dates scrawled in Sharpie beneath some Fall Bash 22, Halloween Rager 23. It went back years, judging by the hairstyles and outfits fading into early 2010s vibes. My stomach twisted. This wasn't some fun memory wall. It felt invasive, like peeping through windows. I stepped closer, scanning for myself. There, a shot from last month's foam party. Me with a red cup raised, foam dripping down my shirt. How? I didn't remember anyone taking it. And next to it another, me arriving tonight, time-stamped 10:47 p.m. My face flushed from the pregame. Fresh. Printed hours ago. A chill slithered up my spine. Who the hell was doing this? The owners? Some creepy caretaker? I pulled out my phone, no signal down here, of course, and snapped a few pics of the wall for proof. As I backed away, my foot kicked something soft. A duffel bag half-zipped. Inside, a digital camera, extra batteries, rolls of photo paper, and a portable printer. Tools of the trade. Deeper in, notebooks stacked neatly, pages filled with handwritten notes. I flipped one open. Alex Rivera, sophomore, poli-sci major. Arrived with Jake Thompson, prefers IPAs. Flirted with Mia Chen at 11:15. My name. Details about me. Heart pounding, I rifled through more, entries on dozens of people, timestamps, conversations overheard, even license plates from cars parked outside. This wasn't just photos. It was surveillance. A log of lives pieced together from stolen moments upstairs. Panic sobered me fast. I shoved the notebook back and bolted for the stairs, but halfway up, the door at the top clicked shut, Locked. I banged on it, yelling over the muffled party noise. "Hey, open up! This isn't funny!" No answer. Then, from below, a soft whir, the printer humming to life. I froze, glancing back. In the dim light, a new photo slid out onto the concrete. Me, moments ago, staring at the walls, phone in hand, freshly captured. How? No one else was down here. I scanned the room again, spotting them now. Tiny black dots in the corners, disguised among the beams. Cameras, hidden lenses watching every angle. The basement wasn't just a shrine. It was a panopticon feeding live feeds to somewhere. Adrenaline surged. I grabbed a loose pipe from the floor, rusted, heavy, and then smashed the nearest camera. Glass shattering. Sparks flew. Another whir from the printer. A photo of me swinging the pipe. They were printing in real time. Footsteps above now, faint but approaching. The party music swelled as the door creaked open. A silhouette appeared at the top, tall, unassuming, wearing a hoodie like half the crowd upstairs. "You shouldn't be down here," a calm voice said. Male, mid-30s maybe, not a student. "Who are you?" I demanded, pipe raised. "The host," he replied, descending slowly. His face came into view, plain, forgettable. The kind you'd pass on campus without a second glance. "This is my collection, my guests. You all come, you dance, you forget. But I remember." He held a key ring, jingling softly. "Most don't find it. Those who do it, well, they become favorites." He nodded at a section of wall. Photos of a girl I vaguely knew, repeated over months, her face circling dates that ended abruptly last spring. Missing posters had gone up around campus. Accidents happen at parties. I swung the pipe wild, connecting with his arm. He grunted, dropping the keys. I lunged past, scrambling up the stairs, bursting into the kitchen. The party raged on, oblivious. I shoved through the crowd, yelling for Jake, but my voice drowned in the bass. Outside I ran, blocks away before stopping to puke in a bush. Called the cops from a gas station payphone, anonymous tip about the basement. They raided the hive that night, but the news said nothing about photos or cameras. Just a busted party, citations for underage drinking. Weeks later, the house reopened under new management. Parties resumed. I stayed away, but one night a package arrived at my dorm. A single photo, me running from the hive that night. On the back scrawled, "You're still invited." I burned it, changed my number, even transferred schools. But sometimes at new parties I catch a glimpse, a face in the crowd, too plain, watching. And I wonder how many basements are out there, walls waiting to remember. It started like any other semester at State U. Endless lectures, caffeine-fueled all-nighters, and the dreaded group projects. Our sociology class paired us randomly. Me, Alex, Jamie, Taylor, and Riley. We were supposed to analyze urban isolation in modern cities, nothing groundbreaking. Jamie was the organizer, always scheduling meetings with color-coded calendars. Taylor brought the snacks and the sarcasm. I handled the research. And Riley? They were quiet, intense with those wide eyes that seemed to absorb everything. At first it was fine. Riley contributed solid ideas, typing furiously on their laptop during our library sessions. But after the third meeting, Riley vanished. No texts, no emails. We figured midterms had hit them hard. Happens to the best of us. "Probably just ghosting adulthood," Taylor joked as we divvied up their share of the work. Jamie tried calling, but it went straight to voicemail. By week 2, it felt off. Riley's social media went dark. Their last post was a blurry photo of a crowded campus quad captioned, "Watching the patterns." Creepy in hindsight, but we shrugged it off. Class dragged on without them. Professor Hale asked if we'd heard anything, and we admitted no. "Check in," she suggested. "Mental health is no joke." That planted the seed. Jamie, ever the mom friend, dug up Riley's address from the class directory. An off-campus apartment in the sketchy east side, where rent was cheap and the streetlights flickered. "We should go," Jamie said one rainy Friday afternoon. Taylor rolled their eyes but agreed. I tagged along because, well, what if something was wrong? The building was a run-down brick relic, graffiti-tagged doors and the faint smell of mildew. We buzzed apartment 3B, no answer. Taylor knocked, then pounded. Nothing. "This is dumb," they muttered, but Jamie spotted an open window on the fire escape. "We can't just break in," I protested, but curiosity won. Taylor hoisted themselves up first, then helped us. The window slid open easily, no lock. We tumbled into a dim living room, hearts pounding. The place was a mess, but not the usual college chaos. Papers everywhere, takeout containers molding on the coffee table. The air was thick, stale, like no one had aired it out in days. "Riley," Jamie called softly. Silence. We fanned out. Taylor checked the kitchen. Empty fridge, just energy drinks. I poked around the desk stacked with notebooks. Our project outline was there, untouched since our last meeting. But beneath it, photos. Dozens of them, printed on cheap paper. My stomach twisted. The first was me walking to class, backpack slung over one shoulder. Time stamped 2 weeks ago. Another, Jamie at the coffee shop, laughing with friends. Taylor studying in the library, oblivious. More followed. Us at the gym, the dining hall, even one of me asleep in my dorm. How? I flipped through, breath shallow. Not just photos. Notes scribbled in the margins. Alex leaves at 7:45 a.m. sharp. Prefers window seat in lectures. Avoids eye contact when stressed. Jamie, allergic to nuts? Test later. Taylor, sarcasm hides insecurity. Break them first. What the hell? Taylor whispered, peering over my shoulder. Jamie found a corkboard in the bedroom, pinned with strings connecting our faces like a conspiracy wall. Our class schedules, phone numbers, even family addresses. A diary lay open. They're perfect subjects. Isolation isn't in the city, it's in them. Watch how they fracture without me. Entries detailed our habits, our fights during meetings, predictions of how we'd react to their absence. Alex will worry but stay passive. Jamie will lead the search. Taylor will deny the fear. We froze as a key turned in the door. Riley stepped in, rain-soaked, carrying grocery bags. They didn't look surprised, just calm. Those eyes locking on us like we'd walked into a trap. "You came," they said, smiling faintly. "I knew you would." Jamie stammered. "Riley, what's all this? Are you okay?" Riley set the bags down, unfazed. "The project, urban isolation. But books aren't enough. I needed real data. You three, you isolate yourselves without realizing. Jamie buries in plans to avoid loneliness. Taylor jokes to keep distance. Alex observes but never connects. They gestured to the walls. I studied you, predicted this exact moment. See? You're here because you're isolated from me now." Taylor backed toward the window. "This is messed up. We're calling the cops." Riley's smile faded. "You can't. The evidence is circumstantial, photos in public, notes on classmates, it's research." But their voice cracked, just a hair. We bolted for the fire escape, scrambling down in the rain. Riley didn't chase, just watched from the window, that intense gaze following us. We reported it to campus security that night. They investigated, but Riley had cleaned up. No photos, no notes, just a neat apartment and a story about a misunderstood project. The dean called it a prank gone wrong, suggested counseling. Riley transferred classes, vanished from our orbit. But the damage lingered. Months later, I still check my locks, glance over my shoulder. Taylor dropped out, Jamie threw herself into therapy. And me? I wonder if Riley was right. Were we isolated all along? Last week I got an anonymous email. A photo of me at graduation, captioned "Patterns Persist." No sender. But I know those eyes are still watching. Alex rubbed his eyes as he stumbled into the elevator of Hawthorne Hall, the ancient dorm building that loomed over the edge of campus like a forgotten sentinel. It was past 2 a.m., and the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a sickly yellow glow on the scuffed metal walls. Finals week had turned him into a zombie, coffee-fueled study sessions blurring into one endless night. He pressed the button for the 8th floor, his room, and leaned against the wall, scrolling mindlessly through his phone. The elevator groaned to life, ascending with its usual rattle. Alex didn't notice at first when it slowed earlier than expected. The doors slid open with a ding, revealing a dimly lit hallway that looked off. The carpet was the same faded maroon as the rest of the building, but it was threadbare, worn down to the backing in spots. Dust motes danced in the air, and the walls were yellowed with age, peeling wallpaper curling at the edges like old skin. He blinked, checking the floor indicator. 13. That couldn't be right. Hawthorne Hall only had 12 floors. Everyone knew that. The top was the roof access, locked and off-limits. Must be a glitch, he thought, jabbing the 8 button again. But the doors stayed open, the elevator unresponsive. Sighing, he stepped out, figuring he'd take the stairs down. The doors whispered shut behind him, and the hum of the machinery faded away. The hallway stretched out identically to his own floor. Doors on either side numbered in brass plaques tarnished with grime. 1301, 1302. It was like a mirror image of floor 8, but abandoned. No posters on the doors, no muffled music or laughter seeping through. Just silence, thick and oppressive. Alex pulled out his phone to text his roommate, but the signal bars were gone. "Great," he muttered, his voice echoing unnaturally loud. Curiosity tugged at him. He'd heard rumors about the building. Built in the 1920s, it had a history of weird stuff. Fires, suicides, the usual campus ghost stories. But this felt real, tangible. He walked down the hall, his sneakers kicking up faint puffs of dust. The air smelled musty, like old books and something metallic underneath. He tried the door to 1304, his room number, but 5 floors up. To his surprise, it creaked open, unlocked. Inside, the layout was identical. 2 twin beds against opposite walls, desks cluttered with papers, a shared bathroom off to the side. But everything was coated in a fine layer of dust, like no one had been here in decades. The beds were made with faded comforters, the kind his grandma might have owned. On one desk sat an old typewriter, yellowed paper still threaded through it. Alex wiped away the grime and read the half-typed sentence. "I can't keep pretending everything's fine. The shadows are getting closer." A chill ran down his spine. This was creepy, but probably just some old storage floor they'd sealed off. Budget cuts or something. He moved to the window, peering out. The view was the same as from his room, the quad below, streetlights flickering in the distance. But the glass was fogged with age, and when he touched it, his finger left a streak in the condensation that shouldn't be there on a dry night. Turning back, he noticed the posters on the walls, faded band ads from the 80s, a calendar stuck on September 1987. His heart skipped. That was before he was born. On the other desk, a stack of notebooks caught his eye. He flipped one open and his breath caught. The handwriting was familiar, slanted cursive just like his mom's. No, that was impossible. But there it was. Journal of Emily Carter, fall semester 1987. Emily Carter. That was his mother's maiden name. She went to this school, yeah, but she'd never mentioned living in Hawthorne. Alex's hands shook as he read the first entry. Moved into room 804 today. Met my roommate, Sarah. She's nice, but the building gives me the creeps. Elevators act funny sometimes. 804. That was his room now. This had to be a coincidence. He rifled through more pages, descriptions of classes, crushes, late-night cram sessions. Then, midway through, weird thing happened. Elevator stopped on 13. Thought it was a joke, but the floor's real. Old rooms like echoes of ours. Sarah thinks it's haunted. I laughed it off, but I found my grandma's locket in one of the drawers. How? Alex dropped the journal. His grandma's locket? The one his mom always wore, passed down? He yanked open the desk drawer in this dusty room, heart pounding. There, tangled in cobwebs, was a silver chain with a heart-shaped pendant. He picked it up, clicking it open. Inside, a faded photo of a young woman who looked just like his mom. And on the other side, an inscription. To Emily, with love eternal. This wasn't possible. He stuffed the locket in his pocket and backed out of the room, slamming the door. The hallway seemed longer now, the lights dimmer. He hurried toward the elevator, but it didn't respond to the call button. Panic rising, he tried the stairwell door. Locked. "Hello?" he called out, his voice cracking. No answer, just the faint creak of settling wood. Desperate, he tried another door, 1307. It opened to a similar scene, dusty beds, outdated tech. But here the walls were scratched. Deep gouges like fingernails had clawed at them. On the mirror, smeared in what looked like old lipstick, "They're trapped here, don't look back." Alex's mind raced. Was this some elaborate prank, hidden camera show? But the details were too personal. He thought of his mom's stories, how she'd dropped out after her freshman year, never explained why. Bad memories, she'd say, changing the subject. He ventured further, into what should be the common lounge. Instead of the worn couches and vending machines he knew, there were old armchairs, a black and white TV with rabbit ears, newspapers scattered on the floor, headlines from 1987. Campus mystery, students vanish from dorm. He scanned the article. 2 girls, Emily Carter and Sarah Klein, last seen entering the elevator. No trace, assumed runaways. His stomach dropped. Sarah Klein, that was his aunt's name, the one who moved away when he was a kid. Family never talked about her. Alex pulled out his phone again. No signal, but the date read September 17th, 1987. What the hell? A sound echoed down the hall. A soft thump like footsteps. He froze. Who's there? No response. The thumps grew closer, deliberate. He ducked into a nearby room, 1310, heart slamming against his ribs. This one was different. Lived in, almost. Fresh footprints in the dust leading to the bed. On the pillow, a phone just like his, screen cracked. He picked it up, and the lock screen showed his own face, older, hollow-eyed. The footsteps stopped outside the door. Alex held his breath, pressing against the wall. The knob turned slowly. In the mirror across the room, he saw the door creak open and a figure step in. It was him, but not him. Disheveled, wild-eyed, clothes torn. The other Alex turned, locking eyes with him in the reflection. "You shouldn't have come," it whispered, voice echoing like from a great distance. "Now you're part of it." Alex bolted, shoving past the apparition, or whatever it was, and sprinted down the hall. The floor seemed to tilt, doors blurring as he ran. He slammed into the elevator button, and miraculously, the doors opened. He dove inside, jabbing G for ground. As the doors closed, he glimpsed the hallway stretching infinitely. Figures emerging from the shadows, echoes of students long gone, their faces twisted in silent screams. The elevator descended smoothly, dinging at the lobby. Alex burst out, gasping, into the familiar bustle of late-night stragglers. His phone buzzed, signal back, texts from his roommate. "Where are you? Been hours." He checked the time, 2:15 a.m. Only minutes had passed, but the locket was still in his pocket, real and heavy. He never told his mom about that night. But sometimes, when the elevator jerks oddly, he wonders if the 13th floor is waiting, collecting more echoes. And one day, maybe he'll step off again, and stay. In the faded brick halls of Elmwood College's oldest dormitory, whispers had circulated for decades about room 413. It was on the top floor of Hawthorne Hall, a building from the 1920s that creaked like old bones in the wind. No one knew exactly why it was locked. Rumors ranged from a tragic suicide to a botched hazing ritual. The administration claimed it was under renovation, but that excuse wore thin after 20 years. The door was always sealed with a heavy padlock, and the frosted window beside it revealed nothing but shadows. Sarah, a sophomore majoring in psychology, had heard the stories since freshman orientation. Her roommate, Mia, was obsessed with urban legends and dragged her into late-night discussions about it. "They say the kid who lived there just vanished," Mia would say, eyes wide under the glow of her phone screen. Poof, left everything behind. Their friends, Jake and Tyler, both engineering majors with a penchant for mischief, fueled the fire. Jake, the group's daredevil, proposed the break-in during a rainy Friday night in the common lounge. "Come on, it's just an empty room," Jake said, popping open another energy drink. "We'll pick the lock, snap some pics, and be legends. What's the worst that could happen? A slap on the wrist from campus security?" Tyler grinned, his tools already in his backpack. A set of lockpicks he'd ordered online for educational purposes. Sarah hesitated. She wasn't one for rule-breaking, but the thrill mixed with boredom from midterms won out. Mia sealed the deal. If we don't do it, someone else will. Imagine the TikTok views. They waited until 2 a.m., when the dorm quieted to a hush broken only by distant snores and the hum of vending machines. The hallway lights flickered dimly as they crept up the stairs, hearts pounding. Room 413's door looked ordinary enough, peeling blue paint, a brass number plate tarnished with age. But the padlock was new, gleaming under the fluorescent bulbs, as if someone still cared. Tyler knelt, his picks glinting. "Easy peasy," he whispered. Click. The lock popped open after a tense minute, and they slipped inside, closing the door behind them. Sarah flicked on her phone's flashlight, sweeping the beam across the room. It was like stepping into a time capsule. The air was stale, thick with dust that danced in the light. A twin bed sat against one wall, its sheets rumpled as if someone had just gotten up. Posters of bands from the early 2000s, Radiohead, The Strokes, hung faded on the walls. A desk cluttered with notebooks, a half-eaten granola bar wrapper, and an ancient desktop computer with a bulky monitor. Clothes spilled from an open drawer, jeans, t-shirts, a hoodie with the college logo. On the nightstand, a framed photo of a young man smiling with what looked like his family. "Whoa," Mia breathed, picking up a textbook from the floor. "Psychology 101, this guy's stuff is still here, like he never packed up." Sarah felt a chill. The rumors said he disappeared mid-semester. What was his name? Alex something? "Alex Rivera," Jake said, reading from his phone. He'd Googled it earlier. Sophomore in 2004. Went missing after a party. Cops searched but found nothing. Case went cold. They spread out, exploring. Tyler booted up the computer, but it whirred futilely, its hard drive dead. Mia rifled through the desk drawers, finding pens, loose change, and a journal. "Guys, listen to this," she said, flipping it open. The entry started normal. Complaints about classes, crushes on girls, but grew erratic. October 15th. "I hear them whispering outside my door. They know what I did." October 20th. "Can't sleep. The walls are closing in." Sarah's stomach twisted. "What did he do?" The group froze as a faint scratching sound echoed from the closet. "Probably rats," Jake said, but his voice wavered. He yanked the door open. Inside, hanging clothes parted to reveal shoeboxes stacked high. One had toppled, spilling papers, old exams, drawings. But at the back, a small safe rusted shut. "Bet there's something juicy in there," Tyler said, kneeling to work on it. As he fiddled, Sarah noticed the bed more closely. Under the sheets, a lump. No, just pillows? She pulled back the blanket, heart racing. Nothing, but on the mattress, faint stains, dark, irregular. "Guys, this looks like blood." Mia gasped. "Look at the journal's last entry, November 2nd. They're coming for me. I can't leave. This is the only safe place." The scratching intensified, now from under the bed. Jake dropped to his knees, shining his light. Holy shit. He pulled out a dusty backpack, unzipped it. Inside, a wallet with Alex's ID, expired cards, and bones. Small ones. Like from an animal? No fingers. Human phalanges, yellowed with age. Panic set in. "We need to get out," Sarah whispered. But as they turned, the door wouldn't budge. The knob turned, but it was stuck, as if locked from outside. "Did someone follow us?" Tyler banged on the door, no answer. Mia's face paled as she scanned the room again. "Wait, the photo on the nightstand, that's not his family. Look closer." Sarah grabbed it. The smiling man was Alex, but behind him, blurred figures in the background, watching. The computer suddenly hummed to life, screen flickering. A video file auto-played. Grainy footage from a webcam, dated November 3rd, 2004. Alex sat at the desk, wild-eyed. "If you're seeing this, it's too late. I didn't disappear. They locked me in. The dean, the RA, they knew about the accident. I hit that kid with my car after the party, drunk. They covered it up, but I couldn't live with it. So they helped me stay." The video cut to Alex tying a rope to the ceiling fan, looping it around his neck. He stepped off the chair. The body swung, then, black, But the room showed no rope, no body. "Where is he?" Jake stammered. Sarah's beam caught something in the corner, a loose floorboard. She pried it up. Below, in a shallow crawl space, a desiccated skeleton curled in fetal position, clad in the same hoodie from the drawer, duct tape remnants on the wrists and ankles, a note clutched in bony fingers. "They said it'd look like I vanished. Help." The door rattled. Voices outside, campus security. "Open up, we know you're in there." Tyler's eyes widened. "How? We were quiet." Mia's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You shouldn't have come, now you know too much." They pounded on the door, screaming. It finally swung open. 2 security guards stood there, faces stern. "Trespassing in a restricted area. Come with us." As they were marched out, Sarah glanced back. The room looked tidied. Bed made, floorboard flush. Had they imagined it? In the dean's office the next morning they sat in silence. The dean, an older man with a kind smile, sighed. "Room 413 is off limits for a reason." Alex Rivera was troubled. He took his own life, but his family requested privacy. "We locked it to preserve evidence in case the case reopened." "But the body—" Sarah started. The dean raised an eyebrow. "Body, it's empty, always has been. You kids and your imaginations." They were let off with a warning. But that night, back in their rooms, each received the same anonymous email. A photo of them inside 413, time-stamped. And a message, "Forget what you saw, or you'll never leave either." Sarah deleted it, but sleep evaded her. The whispers in the hall grew louder. And sometimes, late at night, she swore she heard scratching from her own closet. Weeks passed. Jake dropped out, citing stress. Tyler stopped talking about hacks. Mia threw away her journal. Sarah tried to focus on classes, but the doubt gnawed. Was it real, or a collective hallucination from dust and fear? Then during finals, she found a note slipped under her door. "Alex says hi." Attached was a finger bone. She never reported it. Instead, she transferred schools. But the whispers followed. In every dorm, every locked door, the truth hid. Some secrets lock you in forever. Alex had always been the type to blend into the background at Eldridge University, a small liberal arts college tucked into the rolling hills of upstate New York. As a junior majoring in psychology, he spent his days in lecture halls, his afternoons slinging trays in the dining hall, and his evenings buried in the library's third-floor stacks. It was a predictable rhythm, comforting in its monotony. That's why Jordan's sudden presence felt like a welcome disruption at first. They met in Psych 301, a seminar on abnormal behavior. Jordan slid into the seat next to Alex during the first week, flashing a grin that crinkled the corners of his eyes. "Mind if I join? I'm Jordan, transfer from state." He had that easy charisma, the kind that made small talk flow like water. They bonded over shared gripes about the professor's droning lectures and the cafeteria food. Soon, Jordan was everywhere, grabbing coffee after class, showing up for the same dining hall shifts, even claiming a spot at Alex's favorite library table during late-night cram sessions. At first, Alex chalked it up to coincidence. Eldridge was small, only 2,000 students, so paths crossed often. Jordan was friendly, always asking about Alex's weekend plans or offering notes from missed classes. He even knew details Alex didn't remember sharing: his hometown in Ohio, his allergy to peanuts, the fact that he played guitar in high school. "You mentioned it once," Jordan would say with a shrug, and Alex would nod, flattered by the attention. But as weeks turned to months, the overlaps grew uncanny. Jordan started mirroring Alex's schedule down to the minute. If Alex switched his dining shift to avoid the lunch rush, Jordan was there the next day, apron tied on. When Alex complained about noisy roommates and started studying in the quiet basement lounge, Jordan appeared with his backpack, claiming it was his new spot too. One night after a party, Alex stumbled back to his dorm and swore he saw Jordan lingering outside the building. But when he looked again, the figure was gone. The first real crack came during midterms. Alex was venting to his roommate, Mike, about the stress. "At least Jordan's got my back, he lent me his flashcards." Mike frowned. "Who? Never heard of him." Alex laughed it off, but later he scanned the class roster on the online portal. No Jordan listed. Maybe a glitch, he thought. He asked the professor casually after class, "Hey, is Jordan a transfer? I don't see him on the attendance sheet." The prof adjusted his glasses. "Jordan doesn't ring a bell. You sure he's enrolled?" That night, Alex couldn't sleep. He pulled up the university directory on his laptop, no Jordan matching the description. A quick search through social media yielded nothing. Jordan had mentioned being off the grid online, which Alex had found quirky at the time. Now it felt deliberate. He texted Jordan, "Hey, weird question. What's your student ID? Need it for a group project?" The reply came instantly. "Why, don't trust me?" The unease festered. Alex started noticing the little things. Jordan's backpack, always the same faded blue but never seeming to hold books. His stories about state were vague, no specific dorms or professors mentioned. And his eyes. They lingered too long, like he was memorizing every detail of Alex's face. Desperate for answers, Alex confided in the campus security office the next day. "This guy follows me everywhere, but he's not a student." The officer, a burly woman named Reyes, took notes. Description? Alex described him. Mid-20s, sandy hair, green eyes, about 5'10". Reyes's face tightened. "Sounds familiar. We've had reports of a vagrant hanging around campus. Calls himself different names. Last week, a girl said he was in her art class, but he bolted when confronted." Alex's stomach dropped. What does he want? Reyes sighed. "Hard to say. Sometimes it's just loneliness, squatting in empty buildings. But we found evidence of obsession. Photos, journals. He picks a student, mimics their life until he gets too close." That evening, Alex skipped his library shift and holed up in his dorm, door locked. His phone buzzed. Jordan. "Missed you at study hour. Everything okay?" Alex didn't respond. Hours later, a knock echoed through the hall. "Alex, it's me." "Open up, we need to talk." Heart pounding, Alex peered through the peephole. Jordan stood there, expression calm, but his knuckles were white on the doorknob. "I know what you're thinking," Jordan called softly. "But I'm not the imposter. You are." Alex froze. "What?" "I've been watching you," Jordan continued, voice muffled but clear. "You don't belong here either. I checked your records. Transcripts faked, loans in someone else's name. You're the fraud, Alex. Or should I say whoever you really are?" The world tilted. Alex backed away, mind racing. It couldn't be true. He'd worked hard, paid his way. But doubts crept in. Hadn't his acceptance letter come too easily? The financial aid glitches he'd ignored? No. This was gaslighting. He grabbed his phone to call security, but the battery was dead. Wait, he'd charged it earlier. Through the door. "Let me in, Alex. We can fix this together." Sirens wailed in the distance. Someone must have called. Jordan's footsteps retreated, but his parting words lingered. "I'll be around, same as always." Alex slid to the floor, trembling. The horror wasn't just the stalking. It was the seed of doubt Jordan had planted. Was he the imposter? Or had Jordan fabricated it all to bind them closer? Either way, the campus felt tainted now, every shadow a potential hiding spot. Jordan was out there, waiting to slip back into the routine. And Alex knew deep down he'd never truly escape. It started subtly, the way these things often do. I met Alex in my freshman year at Elmwood University, a sprawling campus in the Midwest, where the winters bit like teeth and the old brick buildings whispered secrets in the wind. We were both in Intro to Psychology, crammed into a lecture hall that smelled of stale coffee and desperation. Alex sat next to me on the first day, cracking a joke about Freud's cigar obsession that made me snort mid-sip of my energy drink. From there, it was easy. Study sessions in the library, late-night pizza runs, venting about crappy roommates. He was the kind of friend who made college feel less like a pressure cooker and more like an adventure. Alex was unassuming. Messy brown hair, wire-rimmed glasses that always slid down his nose, and a laugh that could cut through the thickest fog of exam stress. He was majoring in computer science, obsessed with coding algorithms that simulated human behavior. "What if we could program memories?" he'd say, eyes lighting up over his laptop screen. I'd roll my eyes and call him a nerd, but secretly I envied his passion. My own biology major felt rote by comparison. The withdrawal began in our sophomore year, around fall semester. At first, it was little things. Alex started skipping our weekly movie nights, claiming he had extra lab work. His texts grew sporadic, days between replies when before he'd spam me with memes at 2 a.m. When I saw him in the quad, he'd wave but keep walking, his shoulders hunched like he was carrying an invisible weight. "You okay, man?" I'd ask, and he'd flash that familiar grin. "Just busy, life's a glitch sometimes." By winter break, it escalated. He stopped showing up to classes altogether. I cornered him in the dorm hallway one icy afternoon, my breath fogging the air. "Dude, what's going on? You're ghosting everyone." Alex looked gaunt, dark circles under his eyes like bruises. I don't know. Feels like I'm fading out. Like the world's rewriting itself without me. I laughed it off, suggested he see the campus counselor. He nodded, but his eyes were distant as if he was already somewhere else. After break, he was gone. No forwarding address, no goodbye. His dorm room was empty, stripped bare like it had never been occupied. I texted him, "Where are you? Everyone's worried." No response. Calls went straight to voicemail. A generic robot voice saying the number wasn't in service. Panic set in. I checked his social media. His profiles were deleted, scrubbed clean. It was like he'd hit a digital reset button. I went to the registrar's office first. The woman behind the counter, Mrs. Hargrove, with her permed hair and perpetual frown, typed his name into her computer. "Alexander Reed? No record of enrollment? Are you sure that's the right name?" My stomach twisted. "Of course I'm sure. He was in my psych class last year. Check again." She did, shaking her head. "Sorry, hun. No one by that name has ever attended Elmwood." Bullshit. I stormed to Professor Klein's office, the psych prof who'd graded our group project. "Remember Alex, the guy who did that presentation on false memories?" Klein adjusted his bifocals, peering at me like I was a specimen under a microscope. "False memories. Interesting topic. But no, I don't recall an Alex in that class. You presented alone, didn't you?" My blood ran cold. I had photos, us at a campus party grinning with red Solo cups. I pulled out my phone, scrolling frantically. There they were, Alex and me, arms slung over shoulders, the background blurry with laughing students. But when I showed Klein, he frowned. "That's just you in some empty space. Photoshop?" No, it couldn't be. I zoomed in. Alex's face was there, clear as day, wasn't it? Doubt crept in like fog. Maybe the lighting was bad. Maybe I was losing it. That night, alone in my room, I pored over everything. Texts from Alex filled my phone. "Hey, grab coffee? This code's killing me, LOL." Hundreds of them, timestamps dating back 2 years. I printed them out, spread them on my desk like evidence in a trial. Then the photos, dozens from hikes in the nearby woods to that time we snuck into the abandoned observatory on campus. Alex was in everyone, his smile mocking me. I reached out to mutual friends. Sarah from our study group blinked at me over lunch. "Alex who? I think you're mixing him up with someone else." Mike, our dorm RA, laughed. "Dude, that room's been vacant since summer. No one's lived there." One by one, they denied him. It was gaslighting on a cosmic scale. I started avoiding mirrors, afraid I'd see my own reflection fade. Sleep became a stranger. Dreams plagued me. Alex standing at the edge of a void, waving goodbye as shadows swallowed him. I'd wake sweating, checking my phone for new messages that never came. Then, the anomalies started. In one photo, Alex's arm around my shoulder felt lighter, like a ghost's touch. In another, his face blurred slightly, pixels smearing as if erased by an invisible hand. Desperation drove me to the campus archives, digging through yearbooks and enrollment logs. Nothing, not a trace. But in the basement stacks, amid dusty tomes on cognitive dissonance, I found a crumpled note in my own handwriting. Alex's idea. What if reality is a simulation and we're just bugs getting patched out? My handwriting, but I didn't remember writing it. The breaking point came on a stormy night in March. Thunder rattled the windows as I sat in the library, staring at my laptop. An email pinged. From an anonymous address. Stop looking. You're next. Attached was a video file. Heart pounding, I clicked play. It was footage from the campus security cams time-stamped the day Alex disappeared. There he was, walking across the quad, alone. But wait, no, I was there too, in the frame, talking to empty air, gesturing animatedly, laughing at nothing. The video looped, me hugging thin air goodbye, waving as if seeing someone off. Alex wasn't there, he never had been. Terror clawed up my throat. I slammed the laptop shut, but the image burned into my mind. Was I insane? Had I invented him? But the texts, the photos, they were real, weren't they? I fled to my dorm, rain soaking me. My roommate Jake was out, thank God. I locked the door, pulled out my phone. The texts were gone. Deleted? No, I hadn't touched them. Photos. One by one, Alex vanished from the frames. In the party pic, I stood alone, arm awkwardly extended. In the hike shot, empty trail beside me. A knock at the door. Campus security, open up. My pulse thundered. Through the peephole, 2 officers, faces stern. We got a report of erratic behavior. You okay in there? I didn't open it. Instead, I backed away, grabbing my backpack. Escape, that's all I could think, but as I turned, my reflection in the mirror caught my eye. It flickered, like a bad signal. For a split second, I saw Alex staring back, his eyes pleading. Help, he mouthed before the glass smoothed over. I ran. Out the fire exit, into the storm. The campus blurred past, buildings leering like judgmental giants. I didn't stop until I hit the edge of town, collapsing in a dingy motel. There, in the flickering neon light, I checked my ID. My student card, name intact, photo clear for now. But the doubt lingered. What if Alex was the warning? A glitch in the matrix, excised before it spread. And me? I'd remembered too much, questioned too deeply. The world was rewriting itself, line by line. Days blurred. I avoided people, mirrors, anything reflective. Then one morning, a text from an unknown number. You were never here. My phone glitched, screen fracturing into code. When it rebooted, my contacts were empty. Social media, profiles deleted. I called home, my mom's voice confused. Who is this? The motel mirror showed nothing. No reflection, just an empty room. I sat on the bed, waiting to fade. The world moved on without me, as if I'd never been. And in the silence, I heard Alex's laugh. Distant, echoing, gone. Thank you for listening. Hope you didn't get too scared. If you want to listen more stories, check out my channel. Please leave a like and subscribe. It means the whole world to me.